I will let you know right now, I know nothing about the source material in anime series Saint Seiya. So I'm sorry for that. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Knights of the Zodiac. So what is this movie about? Pretty simple premise actually. You have a guy who has these weird special powers that can maybe turn into the Pegasus Knight. But why does he have to turn into the Pegasus Knight? To protect Athena, who came down from Earth by this golden knight. And now you have this mythology. You have these different scenarios, different people involved of, is Athena going to come back to Earth and destroy everyone? Or is a Pegasus Knight going to help her control the powers? So, do I like this film? Unfortunately, not really. This is one of those movies where the ambition is so high, but the budget of the movie is so low. Yes, I understand it's based off an animated series, and maybe they were going for some stylistic elements that were part of the animated show, but transferring that from this to live action didn't really transfer well, and it. Now, I'm not going to say it was Dragon Ball Z style of like that's horrible, but this just felt just very cheap, uneven, and like I said, they needed more moolah to actually make this a better film. So when I talk about the positives, I think the most positive thing I can say about this movie is the actors. You have Sean Bean, Nick Stahl, Famke Janssen. So I'm pretty sure I said her name completely wrong, but you have them in this movie, and then someone named Mackenyu. I'm saying that correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. He plays the main character. But I would say that is some solid acting through and throughout for what they were given with this script. I do think some of the fighting elements do work with what they were given and the style of camera. Because the style of camera is very, I want to call it janky, but, zoom in and out. Zoom in and out, go here. Zoom in and out, go here. Zoom in and out, go here. And it doesn't really edit too much, except something at the very, very end, which is very noticeable. But I thought it was all fine and dandy with some of the fight sequences were fun. And some of the production design of like Sean Bean's house was really fun, and it really enjoyed the Greek mythology aspect to it. However, when it came to the actual fighting and the CGI, it felt like a straight to TV movie or straight to DVD movie through and throughout. When I first noticed it, like you have a battle sequence in the beginning where he's actually fighting in a cage. You're like, okay, I could see that. Not too bad. But then when they go to a car chase, oh, I was like, oh no. No, 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 no. And then they transferred over to the island. I said, okay, it's getting a little bit better. But then the final battle sequence happens. And the transformation, I was like, no, 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 no. First, his first transformation suit, I'm guessing that's what it was on the animated series. But I was like, oh, that's what the Pegasus Knight is going to look like. Which, the first transformation, it looked like it was going to be badass. Like, oh, yeah, there's a Pegasus behind you. But then what he turns into, I'm like, oh, is he a disciple of Jesus now? Like, what he's wearing? So I was like, what is kind of going on here? But then the final reveal of his costume happens and how it transfers into that costume. Same with this other guy that does like this thing with, people's senses or their fears. I was like, no, don't, no. Oh, it was cringe-worthy of how they transferred into the costumes. And then when the costumes were on, it felt very cheap. Like, it just felt like they went to like those Halloween stores and says, okay, that's a cool one. That kind of looks too much like Mortal Kombat, but we're going to buy it and make a little bit of changes to it to make it look somewhat okay. And that's what it truly felt like. And what I mean by the editing at the very end, there's a scene where stuff was happening, crumbling, and they just cut the movie and then go to a random scene where people are just laying down. You're just like, no, you don't, that is a horrible transition. Like one of the worst transitions I've seen in a movie, hands down. Like I said, they probably didn't have the money to show what happened from point A to point B. So they just had to do a black screen fade to go into this final scene. You're like, oh no. And then maybe I just didn't understand the story itself of the Athena character, of how she embroils the power of Athena. But then at the very end, does the power just go away, or does she like cage it inside of her. Now she can control it more often. Because the whole thing is if she transfers to Athena, she's a completely different person. Athena's going to take over. But then they really don't explain what happened to the powers. I mean, her hair is still somewhat purple. So, anyway, like I said, this is a movie where the ambition is high, but the movie itself, this is a hard one to rate because they tried. They truly tried the production design. They truly designed with the acting. But when it came to the CGI, when it came to the editing, when it came to the costumes, I mean, the costumes for those one characters that could run that were like, what are they called? They're henchmen characters. They were pretty cool. But then the Nick Stahl's character, I thought they were going to do something more badass with him, but not just put him in a normal costume. So that was very underwhelming as well. Oh my gosh, this is a hard one to rate. So Knights of the Zodiac will receive a 1.5 out of 5 with Futon. He was at 30%. I kind of feel bad because it's one of those movies where it's like, I could go with 30% or 40%, but the third act really, really took me out of the movie. And I was just like, what is this? So let's see what the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have the critics a 17% with 6 of them. Audience scores 75% fewer than 50. No critic consensus. So yeah, we have a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, a 50%. There's one person giving it a 3 out of 4. But this is one of those movies where it's from Sony, but if it was supposed to be like a Sony international budget, and they know the manga is so big, why give it this low of a budget? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I am curious if it has hit Japan and other countries before hitting America, so I'm going to check that real quick as well. So it's made 4.4 million right now in Mexico, Colombia, Romania, and Japan. So it hit Japan April 28th, and it's not doing good, unfortunately, whatsoever. And it ranked number 8 when it did come. That's not good. Yep. So overall, it's not going to do good whatsoever, unfortunately. So anyway, Halloween Ends is still playing there. That's fascinating. Moon Age Daydream, Knock at the Cabin, Empire of Light, She Said, Fableman's, Banshees. Banshees made $1 million in Japan. Fascinating. Anyway, 173075. Chase out with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know things Bhutontopia. You Bhuton, have a great day. I don't care if you watch this today, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I love every single freaking one of you. Yeah, this is one of those movies where I just don't hate, but I'm like,